Good morning, folks. This is Jenn Espinosa-Goswami coming to you live from my page over at Be Weightless. If you're catching me live today, make sure you say hi and let me know you're here because I have no way of knowing that you're joining me. So you can be sneaky and kind of go under the radar, or you can just say hi so I can say hi back and shout out to you. I wanted to pop on live today because I see a lot of terminology out there in the dieting industry because, people are like, well, summertime is coming. You need to fit into your shorts. You need to fit into your swimsuit. You need to feel good on the beach because many of us are planning our beach vacations coming up. And I just wanted to pop on here because there's a lot of language as well, especially for moms, around get your body back. And I must confess that this has appealed to me before, too. In fact, some of my all-time favorite workouts are from a group called Fit for Mom Twin Cities, and they have a whole program called Body Back. And so I understand the wish and the ideology behind getting your body back. But I was thinking about this the other day, like, what are the benefits to you of getting your body back? And how is that kind of selling yourself short with this idea that you can return to somewhere maybe you used to be in the past? So that's going to be the topic of today's live. If you're joining us, make sure you say hi. Also, if you're on the replay, that's totally cool too. I feel you. Very few of us are available when I pop on live, and I get it. I do want to put it out there that I will be doing weekly live videos on this page going forward for the next 3 months or so. So I'd be so excited if you join me live, and even more so if you shared with me a topic that you would like to hear more about, because I'm not here in a bubble. I'm here to serve you, and I'm here to address the things that matter most to you. So if you're watching this video, if you heard my plea, then make sure you tell me what topics you'd most like to hear more about. Obviously, I have ideas in my head, and this is something I do regularly, but I want to know specifically what appeals to you. So let's talk a little bit about going back, right? So I work with a lot of clients who are in their 50s, 60s, different age groups, different stages of life. Some of them are moms, some of them are not moms. And there's always this feeling of, I used to be something. I used to be a size 2. I used to be high school skinny. I used to be fit and active. I used to be a runner. I used to be a lot of things, right? You can insert whatever your used to be is inside of that blank. In fact, I do encourage you to share in the comments below what you used to be, whether it's good or bad. It could be either one. So for me, I would say I used to be morbidly obese, which is 100% true. So in my personal circumstance, I don't have a high school skinny story. I don't have I used to be on the swim team. I didn't have any of that. So for me, the whole why did I get into this concept of get your body back? Because I had a baby. I had 2 babies, actually. I have 2 daughters. And after I had my children, my muscle definition was in an entirely different place from before having babies. And if you've ever had babies, comment below how old your babies are if you've had babies, because I'd love to hear. I love babies. So if you've ever had babies, maybe you're in that place now where you're like, oh my gosh, certain things are lower than they used to be. Certain things are a different spot than they used to be, a little flabbier than they used to be. I feel like I have no muscle tone or muscle definition. I feel you, mama. I'm right there with you. Or maybe you were in a place, for example, one of my clients in Let It Go, which is my premier group health coaching program, she was a pageant queen. Like, she did the pageant circuit. So, obviously you have to be very thin when you do pageants. You have to wear, I don't know if she in particular wore a swimsuit in her pageants, but she was in the public eye. She had to wear very fancy dresses. She had to dress herself a certain way. She had to wear makeup. And for sure, she had to be physically fit. That was part of the pageant scene. So her used to be was she was a pageant queen. And when people work with me, I never want them to feel like they have to attain some sort of perfection, whether that's something they used to be or something they hope to be. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you've reached 100% of the goals you've set for yourself. What matters is that you feel good about how you got there, and you feel good at where you settle. We all settle at one point. But when I was thinking about this, okay, so why does the idea of getting something back and going back appeal to us? Well, there's nostalgia of it, right? Like if you used to be in a place where you were running consistently every day, that might be a nostalgic thing for you. You might be like, well, that was a good time of my life. There were so many good things going on for me. I was physically challenging myself in a way that I don't feel I'm able to anymore. You know, certainly we can mourn the loss of certain things that we became accustomed to or even enjoyed. So that nostalgia is always going to come up. And for some of us, it's going to come up even more, especially if you feel like the time of life you're in now is not as enjoyable as it was when you used to be whatever you used to be. I totally understand that. And that's one of the reasons why the idea of going back in time can appeal to us. What is another reason going back in time can appeal to us? Well, maybe wherever we are today is not a good place. I want to acknowledge that. It's okay. It doesn't feel okay. It's okay to be in a place where you don't feel comfortable. And here's why. Because when you feel uncomfortable, that's when you decide to make a change. I don't talk to people on the phone, and I don't offer free phone calls with people who are not feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And they have no interest in connecting with me if they're not uncomfortable in some way. Usually they're uncomfortable with their bodies, their habits, or maybe where they are physically. But that's not necessarily the case. Maybe they're in a place where they're like, okay, I've handled this situation. I'm very successful in my career. I'm very successful with my family life. I feel like I've got my act together, but there's this one piece of my life that I really am not comfortable in yet, so I need assistance with that. So, you know, it's okay to not be in a good place. And if you feel like you're not in a good place, that's when you have a decision in front of you, right? Like, what do you do now? Okay, well, I'm not comfortable with where I'm at physically right now. So what does that mean? And some of us might say, well, I used to be a runner. I think I'll take up running again. Here's the problem with that. Yes, you can absolutely become a runner again, 100%. You could be a better runner today than you ever were 20 years ago. I totally, firmly, and 100% believe that. And if you don't believe that, then we need to have a conversation, because I will help you get to that belief point. It is possible for you. Yes, you can be a better runner today than you ever were. But here's the purpose of this entire video today that I'm sharing with you. You can't ever really go back to where you used to be. Why do I say that? And why do I say that as a health coach? Because isn't the point of health to get to a better place than you've ever been? Yes. Yes. If you go back to where you were before, is that improvement? No, it's getting back to a homeostasis. It's getting back to something you used to do. It's not helping you get better than you've ever been. And there's this distinction there, right? If you're trying to go back to something you used to do, then you're just as good as you were back then, but you're no better. Yeah, you're better than you are today. And it shows a lot of fortitude if you're 20 years, after the fact and you're doing even better. Here's the thing. Why do you want to go back? Aside from the nostalgia, aside from maybe the pleasure of whatever it was you want to go back to, why do you want to go back? And I'm saying this with the benefit of age, because I'm going to turn 40 this year, and I'm feeling less inclined to be interested in reaching some sort of physical ideal. Plus, I'm connected with enough people in the fitness industry that I know how unreasonable it is for us to achieve maximum anything at different ages and at different stages in our life. I have decided for my stage of life, not necessarily that I'm too old to do anything. You're never too old to do anything. But I've decided at this stage of my life now that it's not my biggest priority to reach some physical ideal. Why do you want to go back? And it's okay for you to think this through. You can share in the comments below why it's important for you to go back to something you used to do. But you can also think a little bit about this and marinate and say, what do I gain from going back where I was before? For example, and some adults, they reach a point where they're like, well, I just want to enjoy some of the things I used to enjoy. I'm right behind you, sister. I'm right behind you. That's so fun. It's so amazing. As I'm looking at my weight loss journey, which started 20 years ago, the thing that appealed to me most at that point, I was a very heavy girl. I'm still not a slim Jim out here, or Slim Jenny. At that time in my life, physically, what I could manage was not the same as what I can manage today. Today, I do an hour long of high intensity interval training. I do weightlifting. I have muscle definition in my arms and my legs. My family notices a difference. That's a different place than I was when I was morbidly obese. So I obviously don't want to go back to that. Yet, when I was working out then, my workout of choice was dancing because it's fun, right? It's fun. It's really hard to injure yourself. It's really hard to mess up. And it's something where you continuously learn. And for me, I know that any program I take on has to help me learn something that I didn't know before. Whether it's learn my new limits, whether it's learn something like a nutrition idea that I never understood before, whether it's learning something about my own ability to maintain progress, because that's important to learn that about yourself. So for me, dance was kind of the best case scenario, but I don't want to go back to that. And here's an interesting thing. I love dance. I still love to dance. If you crank up some Pitbull or some, Enrique Iglesias, I am dancing in my living room with my girls. I love dance. But I know that dance is not going to get me to where I want to be today. I need to take things to a different level today. So when I say you can't go back, I don't mean that in the sense of you shouldn't try. I don't mean that in the sense of it's impossible for you. It's not. But understand the reasons why you want to go back. I'll give you another example. So supposing today you're a size 20. It happens, right? Life happens. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe there was a death in the family. And maybe you find yourself in a place where you're like, wow, this is the biggest I've ever been. It's okay. This is your stage of life. But you're uncomfortable, so you want to change it. So maybe when you're coming up with your goal setting for how to get out of this uncomfortable place, you say, well, 15 years ago, I was, exercising consistently and I was a size 10. So you're like, okay, I want to be a size 10. That's my goal number one. And I was exercising consistently at LA Fitness or Snap Fitness or one of those gyms. And you're like, okay, so that's what I'm going to do to get back to where I was before. That's not how this works. Because just because it worked for you 15 years ago doesn't mean it's going to work for you today. That is the trick. That is the problem a lot of people run into when they approach a diet program. And I've had conversations with people about this very same thing, because I'll reach out to people and I'll say, hey, are you ready for a different way? Are you ready to explore what works for you? Are you ready to set the right goals for you specifically and not just into a cookie cutter program? Because there's lots of cookie cutter programs out there. There are a million of them, and all of them have their own merits. I'm not trying to shut down any of those programs. They exist, and they work for certain people, and they may be the right fit for certain people. But one of the biggest frustrations with me as a health coach is there's that lack of awareness. So someone will tell me when they're on a phone call with me, they'll say, well, this worked for me before, so I'm going to go back to it. You can't ever really 100% do everything the same way that you did back then today. You just can't. Physically, emotionally, intelligently, strategically, things are different. You are a different person. You have learned different things since then. You have tried different things since then. You're a different age since then. You're in a different place of life. Maybe you have access to different resources that you didn't have before. You can't ever 100% go entirely back to something else. So if that's your filter for how you choose your next program, well, it worked for me before, maybe that's not the right process for you. Maybe that's not the right goal or the right program for you. Speaking of which, I did mention that I have a program called Let It Go. It's a group coaching program, and we start on Monday. That's March 12th. I'm so excited for this round of program. I have 2 more rounds of 6 weeks before summertime, and I'm going to take a break and just chill out with my kids and have fun. So I'm very excited for this round because I already ran my first round in January and February. It was fantastic. My clients got great results. I had a client lose 10 pounds. Which was a huge milestone for her. I had another client who found some more balance in her life. She has a lot of things going on in her life, and she was kind of feeling a little out of control. So she got to a place where she felt more comfortable with the balance in her life. So, each person who joins Let It Go has a different goal and has a different ideal. And that's okay. And that's what I encourage in my programs. I don't want you all to have the same goal. And your goal doesn't have anything to do with weight loss. That's fine. Health is more than just weight loss. So that's why I call this program Let It Go. But just some basic things you should know about the program. It's a 6-week program. We have weekly training calls. We have meal plans with a different focus every week. Because here's the thing. Yes, I can put you on a strict 30-day elimination, whatever, but that never worked for me, and I imagine it didn't work for you, especially if you've done multiple rounds of things like Whole30 and sugar-free and all those things. So what I do in Let It Go is I let you explore and play with different ways of eating. And I support you through that by giving you recipes that are already created and laid out in a beautiful document where you can click and create your recipe for the day. I mean, it's all laid out for you. You try what appeals to you. You don't use what doesn't appeal for you. And eventually you find new recipes that you will keep in your weekly rotation. And you're like, yes, maybe this way of eating actually works for me more than this way of eating. That's one of the benefits of that. And because I don't follow in any particular dietary plan, I certainly will take into account the people who are in the program. If they have certain allergies or intolerances, I do incorporate that into the plan. That's why it's beautiful, because we flex according to what you need. And in addition to that, we also have weekly gym-free fitness tips. So regardless of whether you're going to the gym today, regardless of whether you have a consistent exercise schedule, it's all about consistency, folks. I will support you with a program that works for you where your physical level is today. I mentioned that I regularly work out with Fit for Mom. It's a regular class. I work with a trainer. Not everyone is in a place where they're ready for that or interested in that. So I totally understand you, and I can give you tutorials. I'm not a personal trainer, but I follow a lot of personal trainers who have great tutorials who have helped me personally reach my fitness goals. So I will share those resources with you. You do not need to go join a gym on top of the program that I'm talking about through Let It Go. That's what you get. You also get my personal commitment to your success. I don't have a business if you don't succeed. So I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I know how to help you succeed. I've helped many people succeed, and I'd love to help you as well. If this is intriguing to you or you'd like additional information, comment below this video with Let It Go. Let it go. Let it go. Don't want to. I don't know the words to that song. If you have kids, I'm sure Frozen is on repeat on your playlist, so sorry for that. My little singing cameo, if you will. I would love to have you join my next six weeks of Let It Go. Again, starts on Monday, March 12th. The whole cost of the program is $297 for 6 weeks of dedicated support. This is the lowest price you'll ever have with working with me. And if it's something that feels a little uncomfortable to you, we can certainly have a conversation offline. I am very open to meeting my clients where they are. And I have worked with clients who are like, it's kind of stretching me. It's kind of uncomfortable. I want you to be uncomfortable from a health standpoint so that you can make change. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable from a financial standpoint, because that creates stress, and stress is not going to help you achieve your results. So let's have a conversation about that. Let me know if that's something you'd want to open up the lines of communication for, and we can make something work for you. At the end of the day, you have a choice, right? You can remain where you are today, feeling uncomfortable, having this ideal in your head that you can go back to somewhere you were before, which may or may not be true for you. I mean, everyone is different. Without having a conversation with you, I can't guesstimate or gauge whether that's true. I certainly didn't know what I was capable of when I started my weight loss journey, and I blew my success level out of the water. So I know you can certainly do the same thing. But if you're not achieving what you'd like to achieve today, then let me help you. Let me support you. Let me provide you with the support you need, the coaching you need, the accountability you need. I do all of it inside of Let It Go. Let me know if you're interested. I'd love to have you join me. And thank you so much for joining me, either live or on the replay. If you're on the replay, don't forget to say hi. I'll say hi back. And share with me your takeaway. What is something you wanted to go back to, and why? And if you don't want to share, that's okay too. Just marinate on it and make sure to connect with me, because I love hearing from you. This is Jenn Espinosa-Goswami, and I'm over at Weightless. I'd love to be your coach and Let It Go, and let me know how I can support you. Have a good afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.